Hey everybody, thanks. Welcome to BraveMaker's Mastermind. This is our weekly Monday Zoom for professional development, encouragement, and hopefully some collaboration across the country with all of you amazing filmmakers and creatives. And we have a special guest today, Brittani Nichols from Abbott Elementary, writer and producer, Emmy nominated, and we're gonna jump in and chat about all things writing and producing and TV and kale and suicide today. So, so thank you, Brittani, for being here. We were almost gonna have Brittani for the film festival this summer because the WGA Foundation connected us through my friend Nicole, who was one of our special guests last year. And then there were some family things that came up. So we're like, okay, maybe we'll get Brittani next year. But then Brittani was like, I can come on the Zoom, and do a 1 hour thing on the first day of production for Abbott Elementary. So they're in production right now, and she's squeezing out a hour for us. So thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah, well, let's just jump in and talk about. We always love hearing break-in stories.
Yeah, my let's see. So I sort of decided I wanted to be a television writer while I was living in the Bay Area. I had been doing marketing consulting for a startup, and then I was running sports camps for kids. And I would get back from the sports camp and sort of just like take a nap, make some dinner, and watch primetime TV. And I was on Tumblr, and the community writer just did some like little note being like, I didn't know that like loving comedy and being a nerd could be a job. And I was like, well, I didn't
Mm,
know that either.
hmm
So then I just sort of set out to try to do it. I picked up and moved to LA a few months later, where I was doing PA work. And then I did a web series called Words with Girls, and I did that with basically a bunch of people that I met while I was PAing. It was a lot of people who were like, I'm assistant camera and I want to be DP, or like I've been writing but I want to direct and that sort of thing. So basically, just by giving people the opportunity to do the position that they like ultimately wanted to do, I was able to get people to work for free or really cheap or for lunch. And we sort of all were just like, this will be sort of all of our calling card to get the jobs that we want. I then did a bunch of UCB. So I was doing like stand up, improv, sketch comedy. And while I was doing that, I got an email from a list serve that I was on that was like, does anyone have half-hour comedy specs? And I had a half-hour version of that web series. So I
mm,
sent it in cold, didn't know what it was for. And it ended up being Issa Rae. She was looking
mm,
for three pilots to produce independently because this is right before Insecure got picked up and she sort of was in development hell looking for stuff to do. So then I made a half-hour version of that web series. And then I was able to use that to get into my first writers' rooms. But that was for like sketch shows, variety shows, and studio stuff. And so then this is a thing that happens with comedy is you sort of get stuck in that world, which is a lot of those shows are non-union for a while. And then you're trying to figure out how to break onto the scripted side, which all those shows are union. And I also act. So then I ended up getting cast in Transparent for the second season for a recurring role. And I took the money from that and used it to make an independent feature called Suicide Kale. I did the LGBTQ film circuit with that film, and we won like audience awards, best of fest, at a lot of the big ones like the Outfest, New Fest, etc. And then I was able to use that movie. It was sort of being seen by people, and then I got offered a job on my first scripted series called Take My Wife. Um, then I got another scripted show. Then I went back to sketch for a Black Lady sketch show, which I was not happy about at the time. I wanted to stay in scripted, but the thing that happened was they were making people repeat levels, which was like one of the things that we were fighting for in the strike. But it ended up turning out well. The people were trying to screw me over because I reconnected with Quinta. We had acted in a web series years ago together. And she just was like, you're my favorite writer on the Black Lady sketch show. I have this show at ABC. If it
mm.
goes, like, will you come write on it? And I didn't take jobs for like 7 months or something, waiting to see if Abbott was going to get picked up, because I wanted to be available to go do that. And I thought it would. Like everyone was like, "This is so good! Like they have to pick it up." And then luckily they did. And I've been on Abbott since the beginning now. So it's going into starting production for season 4, Shay.
Congratulations, amazing and awesome, encouraging story, especially since we're all in the Bay Area, most of us who are on this call. A lot of people are different parts of the country, so we are definitely fans of Bay Area creators getting their comeuppance. And I watched Suicide Kale. I want to chat a little bit about that because I had a sense of how that platformed you. You know, you took your own money, you wrote on it, you produced, you were one of the lead actors, and a lot of us are sort of at that level looking at how to make micro budget films and use those as calling cards. So, some of you might not have seen it. So I'm going to show the trailer for it and let's chat about that. So stand by for the trailer of Suicide Kale.
Ugh, I'm so horny. We haven't had sex this whole month.
It's August 2nd.
Winter is over.
Why aren't you wearing the apron?
Because I just don't want to.
Than I was before. All of my lessons so painfully sober, and you prefer learning than the night before. Yes, you do.
Can I bring something up that might be a little uncomfortable?
Can I talk to you for a minute?
Is everything okay?
Oh my God! 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I don't mean a word of it. Wonder how long till you figure me out or not.
I didn't even think I ever would get married, and yet here we are sitting at my dinner table
Exactly.
with my wife.
You never know what's
So
Yeah, you guys are super happy.
we are.
I am happy. They're happy. Look.
We're happier than you right now.
1, 2, 3. I didn't mean who said you could count on my breath.
It's really fun in here.
It's available on all your local public libraries. So anybody who wants to watch it, that's how I watched it, free with your library card. Or you can also watch it for $4 on Amazon. I think you also, did you win Frameline or something like that? Because I know I saw Frameline was part of the distribution. I would just love to hear, and if everybody wants to throw questions in the chat about Suicide Kale, please do. But I want to hear a little bit about the making of this, the process, the days. Looked like it was in one of your actors' houses. All of the things that you did that we are all very familiar with to make would you call it micro budget feature?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We spent like between $5,000 and $6,000 on it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so those people were all my friends. Like I had met Jessica Nicole via Twitter. I met Brianna Baker via a comedy basketball league. I met Lindsay Hicks through a friend of a friend. And then Carly Houston, the director, and Robin Romer. They're married. Robin was the DP, Carly directed, and I met them through Autostraddle, which is this independent, or used to be independently owned, used to be the largest independently owned lesbian website. And we shot it in Jessica's house. We used all natural lighting, and we used two cameras that Robin had, because Robin was just a photographer. She wasn't even like a director of photography. And we used lav mics that plugged into cell phones. And we had a boom, and we had some other sort of janky microphone setup. And yeah, we did it in 5 days. We did 5 8-hour days because the movie is shot to time. So we literally just like chopped up the hour and a half that it takes place over, and we just did like each scene like twice, and we would improvise on the script, and yeah, that was it. And then I did a bunch of reaching out to festivals. I had never done a short before. I feel like a lot of the times in these festivals, people have like done a short and they use that to build a relationship, and then they do a feature, and I sort of jumped straight to feature. So I was just reaching out to a bunch of people, asking for fee waivers. That was like my first touch point with a lot of them was asking for a fee waiver, and I was sort of selling it a lot by being like, "Hey, Jessica Nicole is in this. That's an actor some people know," and was able to just build relationships that way. The movie ended up being like helping a lot of people build their career. Like Brianna Baker is now on like
Yeah.
911 Lone Star.
Yeah.
I was, my writing, I was able to sort of catapult that into my writing career. Haley Huntley has been like a series regular on several shows. So it just was, again, finding people who were looking to sort of make a big jump and just hadn't been given the opportunity and were willing to put some time and effort into it. And just being like, hey, we're all going to do this for the sheet, but we're all going to benefit from it. So, any money that we make off of the film, like it just gets distributed to all the actors and the DP and the director. We just do an even split for it all.
I was really inspired watching it because one, I love the content, like the story. For those of you who have not seen it, the log line is, for friends, two of them are married, two of them are dating. They have this lunch, and one of them discovers a anonymous suicide note, and they have to process it over lunch, and that kind of spills open all their relationships and sort of their challenges that the two couples are having within each other. So 4 main characters and then 1 supporting character. No spoilers, and a dog. But you can tell it's very dialogue driven too, which I thought was really interesting. And I think as a TV writer, I was interested to see, did that help you as you platformed into TV writing? Also hearing $5,000, 5 days, 8-hour days, like that is a huge call to action for some of us like myself who have been waiting to make my second feature, hoping I could get 50, 100,000 and have 2 weeks to do it. Like the idea that you made this and wrote this and did it in 5 days is huge. So can you talk a little bit about, you wrote it, it's like a lot of conversation, a lot of eating kale, which filming meals, they often say, can be challenging with the cuts. But what did you learn along the way that you could pass on to us? Maybe what things would you do different? What things would you warn us about? Anything that was like something that really worked great? Sounds like sharing the proceeds and keeping it low budget was a helpful thing. And then, yeah, like you said, all of the people who you cast were also at a level too, where that helped jump them. They're all working actors now.
Yeah. I mean, I really was thinking about like, what do I have access to? That's sort of where I started was like, what are the things that I know I can just pull in via my network? And then I just was sort of brainstorming ideas that could work for what I had available. So I was just coming up with ideas, being like, what's something that we can do, sort of during daylight, in basically one location. I mean, it's like the house, the backyard, and on the street in front of the house. So it's not truly one location, certainly locations, but it's all one place. And
I also like the scenes in the car. I like how you filmed in the car too. I was like, you just had the camera in the back seat, boom, 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 boom. I thought that was great too.
Yeah, I think we just like had to trust that the audience would like be forgiving of certain things. I think a lot of people are like, oh, if an audience like sees X, Y, and Z, they're gonna know that it wasn't a lot of money and they're not gonna care. And like I feel like with comedy, at least, you get a lot of leeway if it's funny. Like if it's funny, people will forgive a lot of things. And so that really was sort of our driving momentum behind it. And also that we wanted to have like sort of like an explainer of like why we did it this way. So it was like, yes, it's shot this way where everything is tracking, the camera is moving, and we wanted to make it feel like you're at the dinner with these people. So it's also, people are then like, oh, okay, yeah, so then it makes sense that it's just one camera that's literally doesn't move the whole dinner, because we have this explanation and thought behind why we did it that way. Really the answer is there was a crew of 2 people. Like that's just what we could do. But if we're able to like make it seem like, this was our creative genius, we're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I get why you did that.
And then the distribution part of it, like being able to get, looks like Frameline was the distributor. Is that how that worked?
Yes. So we had no idea the movie was going to be as successful as it was. We were just like truly like fingers crossed that we get into a single festival. And so when it started to, get into, 95% of the festivals that we were submitting it to and was getting all these awards, we were like, oh, maybe we should try to figure out how to like get this thing out there. And so we just started sort of like saying that to some of the people that had programmed it, and Frameline just like sort of jumped at the opportunity. And they were open to the model that we wanted to do because, they're, I think, have sort of like the same values of like, we
Mm-hmm.
want to help people succeed. We want to get the movie out. We want to provide this infrastructure that a lot of independent filmmakers don't have. And so it's non-exclusive. So like we can do whatever we want with the movie at the same time. Like we could put it up for free if we wanted to. And that's sort of why we point a lot of people to the library, because we want it to be accessible. Like we just sort of are like, this movie has done what we wanted it to do for us. We just want as many people to see it as possible and for it to be as easy as possible for people to see. So it was like on the first couple years, it was on Amazon Prime. So you didn't have to pay. It was just like if you had Prime, you could see it. It was on airplanes for a while. During Pride, we usually have some other placements on like Comcast. We've been on one time. And so just like always just letting people know like, hey, this thing is still out there. It's still pretty easy to see if you want. And Frameline has just been super great about that because they're just like, yeah, even when people watch it at the library, like we make a lot of money. So it's like,
That's great.
but best of both worlds of people seeing it for free and
Yeah.
the distributor making a little bit of money.
It's great. And if those of you who don't know, Frameline is a Bay Area, one of the biggest LGBTQ film festivals ever. So it's really cool. Again, Bay Area pride, that must make you happy, Brittany, to have that and that representation there. And again, BraveMaker people, I encourage you watch it. If you're trying to get a film made, the idea of 5 days, 8-hour days, right? We're always hearing the challenges of people working 14 and 16-hour days, which we don't want to do. How can you schedule your film? Sounds like you also filmed it chronologically, which is cool. Can you talk a little bit about the script and the producing of it? So someone who wrote the script, acted in it, and produced. You talked about you did have some improving happening. How did that work? Anything you can say about that the making of the film, producing it as a writer and actor in it?
Yeah, so I got everyone sort of to agree to be in it based off of the outline. So I just sent the outline out to those folks. I was like, hey, this is like sort of what I'm thinking. Would this be something that you'd be interested in? And they all said yes. And then after that, we did sort of like a workshop day with all the actors, just being like, hey, what do you think? I let the actors name the characters, which is how I can't just character has like 3 names. I maybe don't ever let actors name themselves. She had the longest name in the world. But we just met up and we just talked through what they thought the characters would be, where I thought the characters were coming from, and sort of created these characters together so that when there was the improv, we were like on the same page about the sorts of things the character would say, what the background of the relationship was, what everyone did for a living, just sort of nailed all that stuff down so that when we were improvising, everyone had like this shared base of knowledge to be operating from. And then for the script, it was some of the scenes were like sort of to the word, like word perfect scenes interspersed throughout. And then the ones that were sort of longer scenes, we basically had like different points that were scripted, and it would basically be like, we're hitting this plot point, we're hitting this dialogue, and then we improvise in between that. And then sort of, I was sort of doing the work of like guiding us back to the plot points and guiding us back to the scripted dialogue in between the improvisation. Because we shot the whole lunch scene just like all as one thing. We just like did the whole lunch all the way through. So it was like also a bit like a play in that way. And yeah, it was the answer to the question.
That's fun. Yeah. Well, I also like the dark comedic elements of it. My first feature was about grief and suicide too, so I was connecting on that. But I think one of my favorite parts was at the lunch when your character is like, how am I supposed to deal with you all bonding over trying to kill yourself? How am I the weird person here? Which is a really a good take on reminding us that dark elements of life can also be funny and weird and uncomfortable, but we need to talk about them, especially over a kale salad lunch. And like many of us on this call, we believe storytelling can impact change. So I also appreciated the suicide hotline and just the acknowledgement of, if you are in a place where you want to take your life, get help. I really thought that was significant. Was that from the beginning a desire that you had to make the film, to explore that, and where did the idea come from?
It came from a lot of things, honestly. I mean, I think throughout my 20s, those were conversations people were starting to have within their friend groups. I think I talked to people about really tense lunches and how people either like would dive in those situations or sort of just like back away and be like sort of avoidant about not
Mm.
engaging with people who are opening up. And I think it's just like one of those things that people are scared to talk about because they feel like if you're going to make something about it, you're going to talk about it, it like has to be perfect. And I think especially with like queer people, it's so much about like, I want to make sure that I'm like a good representation of this. I want to make sure I'm putting forth like a healthy version of what these relationships are. And I was like, that's just not, none of my friends are being healthy. Like, there are so many toxic relationships. There are
Mm.
so many people that are trying to have these conversations and failing. And
Mm.
why not just like show the reality of it and how confusing and alarming it could be? And also the, I think, misuse of that sort of extremity, I
Yeah.
think, happens with people in their 20s that are still figuring out how to express themselves, how to get attention in the way that they want, how not to do things that are just like not okay. Like, I think there are many things in the movie that are just like, that's not okay. We're laughing at it, but like,
Yeah.
take
Yeah.
that outside of fiction and people are doing these things in real lives. It's not okay. And so
Hmm.
just being able to like acknowledge that those things happen growing up is figuring out how to move through them. And I think that like that is, as much as like LGBTQ stuff is feels like it was representative, I think the acknowledgement that like people are handling things poorly in real life is a thing that people felt like they could really relate to.
Awesome. Yeah, I appreciated, just watching and the exploration through conversations. Like, just sometimes I think we as filmmakers who are trying to do things on a budget feel a little constricted, that we want to have action scenes and people running through a crowded street and dodging cars, but we get to do, like what I hear you saying, is talk about really important things and do it in a 1, 2, 3 location spot with a conversation over a meal. Like, it can be done, and now you have a feature film, which was, by the way, 1 hour and 18 minutes, which I thought, oh my gosh, the timing on that was great. So there were so many things that I, as a filmmaker, was gravitating to as I watched the film. And a couple more minutes, and then we'll open it up to questions, everybody. So get your questions ready to ask for Brittani. But Stacey wanted to know about rehearsal days, whether before filming. What did you do for rehearsal? It sounds like you did some preparation on character development, but did you and your DP arrange specific times for the shots? Were you involved with the director work? Anything else you want to say about that? As you only did 2 takes per scene, you said.
Yeah, so we just did walkthroughs of all the camera moves that were going to happen. And so we would say like, okay, we're going to give this much time for this scene and this much time for this scene. And then, yeah, the DP just practiced literally just the route that she was going to take through the house to follow all the action. And then we talked about like the split of like, okay, if this is happening here, this other thing is happening at the same time over here. We want to make sure those scenes are like around the same time so that we can like intercut them. And we did that. Yeah, we took one day to do that before we start shooting.
Awesome. And did Suicide Kale propel you into conversations, into rooms, into representation? How did this, would you say, film move your career forward in any way?
Well, it got me my first scripted job. The showrunners were like very clear about that they saw the movie and they liked it, and that's why they were coming to me to
It's
interview for
great.
the position. Um, And then, yeah, it just has been like very useful because just I think this thing that you're sort of focusing on of just like, oh, that you could just get that done. Like people just were like, how the fuck did you do that? And I think it's
Hmm.
also because it was coming off of Mumblecore, which like this is even like
Yeah.
not even as much many resources as like the Mumblecore films had, that it was just like really taking that to heart. And I think that was one of the things that we also talked about was like people were using Mumblecore as proof that like anyone can make a movie. Like with Tangerine, it's just like anyone can make a movie, anyone can do it, anyone can do it. And we were sort of there being like, no, that's still not true. It's
Mm.
you still have to have access to some amount of things. You still have to have access to even like actors that are going to be able to pull off the script that you write, or people that are going to be willing to like do the sound. Like that's the thing that if I could do it again, I would say like invest
Mm.
in sound more, because it's just if you're gonna get it playing theaters, like you're just gonna be able to tell the difference. And I think a lot of things sound shitty nowadays, so people are again more forgiving. But that's like where I would put the money, because like even with the natural shots with just the sunlight, everyone's like, "Oh, it's so beautiful, the sunlight." Da da da.
Mm. Mm.
People aren't like, "Oh, when that shirt ruffled, that was so beautiful." That's not a thing anyone is ever gonna say. Um, and yeah, it's just a thing to say. I think because also here so many people make shorts that even a lot of people will assume like, oh, you got this and this and this. This was what that was. How'd you get your short done? And then once you say like, oh no, it's a feature, people are like, oh wait, what the fuck? So it's
Uh-huh.
just like that sort of even I think stab at it. I think that like
Yeah.
rather than raise, because also people here are making shorts for $100,000, and every time I'm just like,
Yeah.
you could do a feature. I think you could figure out how to do it. And I think that you're just going to be competing against a lot less people. A lot less people are making features. And it's just like an easier way, I think, to immediately sort of separate yourself.
Speaking some truth, that reality of how you made a 5 day feature with $5,000 is super huge, and it does set you apart when you say I have made a feature film, it does put you out into a different echelon. You're in different conversations because people do want to know, like we are. We're like, how did you do it? Olga says, did you have to get insurance and permits for the 5 day set?
No, we didn't do anything. We didn't register with anybody. We did. It was completely guerrilla. And like SAG knows
Yeah.
about it, WGA knows about it, and everyone's just like fucking cool, man.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, I'm gonna ask the last question about writers' room stuff, and then we'll go to everybody else. So, you are in season 4. Love Abbott, one of my ultimate favorite shows. But I had my one of my first generals about Abbott actually with ABC when I was rep. So I have an affinity toward it. I'm married to a teacher as well, so I love all things mockumentary too. So I'm very invested in this show. And we had Ken Whittingham with us, who is a director for a couple episodes, and now he's on our board of directors. So it's super fun. We feel very, very, very much close and appreciative of your show. So talk about a typical writer's room experience. And I know that there's every room is different, but you all are now in production. You've been writing, for the past how many months? What can you talk about for those of us who want to be in a writer's room, what we should know about being successful in
Yeah. Two very questions, I think. I'll start with the successful one because I feel like that'll be shorter probably than how our room runs. Um, don't be quiet, I think, is number one. I was lucky enough that the first few rooms I was in were really small. They were like 6 writers max. I mean, it's because they were doing the mini room stuff, and we were writing 8 episodes in 6 weeks and things that you really shouldn't be doing. But because of that, I really was put into the position of immediately having to contribute and talk, and all the writers, sort of despite level, were treated the same way. And I think rooms in general are moving towards that. It's sort of a relic of the past where it was like if you're a staff writer, you just shut up and you wait until it's time to pitch jokes and then you pitch jokes. Things are really shifting just, I think, because of like the equity conversation, and that there shouldn't be this like really harsh hierarchy. It should be you're contributing at the level that you feel comfortable contributing. um so talking, I think, is just truly it. A lot of staff writers and lower level writers don't want to say anything because they only want to say the perfect thing. And the thing that you have to learn very quickly is that like your wrong answer helps us get to the right answer. Like us hearing 20 no's is how we realize what the yes is. And the yes might have been number 7 that got pitched and we said no, and then we circle back and realize like that was the right answer. But we never get there unless everyone is sort of helping us cover all the bases, to get all of the ideas on these subjects out there. Just be a nice person to be around. Like in a room, you're with each other. I mean, I see these people more than I see anyone else in my life, like by far. I'm with them now 9 months out of the year. And if we didn't get along, it would just be a nightmare. So just like trying to figure out what's annoying about you, because whether or not you think something annoying about you, and you got to figure out what that is so that you can tamp it down when you have to. Working hard. I mean, that's really, it's not that hard, honestly. Being in a writer's room is like it's very easy to like do well, because it's all things that are like very straightforward. It's like turn your scripts in on time, turn your jokes in on time, read other people's scripts and be ready to give notes in a way that doesn't make people want to cry, be complimentary when other people do a good job. I mean, it's really just about like being part of a community. Like your writer's room is your community, and you just want to like sort of have a set of community agreements that everyone sort of agrees to and can operate on, and trust that your showrunner is going to tell you what you need to be to be successful. Always check in with your showrunner if you feel like something is making you uncomfortable, or you're unsure about how you can be contributing or what your angle in the room should be. Just have a good dialogue between you and your showrunner. And then how our room runs is a little different, because our creator is also the star of the show.
Yeah.
In our weeks leading up to the first day of production, we're like hauling ass. Like we move faster on this show than any other show I've ever seen. We had 6 episodes table read before the start of last week. So before we even went into prep for this episode, we had 6 episodes that we had taken to table. And so we're working on a lot of different episodes at the same time. We'll be breaking one episode, we'll be rewriting another episode, and we'll be doing punch up on another episode, sort of all within the same one day sometimes. So it's keeping track of a lot of different sort of balls in the air. And then I will talk about how we get to script, because this is my favorite process that I've ever done. And it's because the showrunner who runs our room is Justin Halpern, and he's fucking incredible. They also have the Harley Quinn show. They have Kite Man that's on the air. He was the dude who did the Shit My Dad Says Twitter account. He didn't run that show, but that's like sort of how he got into his first room. And the way that we do it is we break the episode together. We also, as a room, we don't like splitting up. If he makes us split up into 2 rooms, we yell at him and throw a fit. And so he, at this point, has sort of stopped trying to do it, just because we like having like all brains on whatever it is that we're working on, so we don't let anything sort of fall through the cracks. So we're breaking the episode. We board the episode, which is sort of the classic thing that you see of like the note cards, but we don't do note cards. We write on our whiteboard. And the first time through loosely boarding it, we just do the beats for each of the storylines. So we do all the A beats together, all the B beats together, all the C beats together. We go through that again to sort of make sure that the story holds up, that we're not missing anything. Then we take that and we mix them together. So we go like, we think this will be the A beat here, then we'll use this B beat, then we'll use this C runner, then we'll come back to the A story, back to the B story, see if there are any things we need to fix sort of with timing, because we want the stories to happen over the same period of time. Since we're in the school, we also have to worry about like, is this happening before school? Is it happening during lunch, after school? Make sure all that timing stuff works out. And then we do the outline. And this is also another unique thing on this show that I found, is we all participate in the outline, The showrunner goes around and he assigns each person a scene. So it'll be like, you have the cold open, and then we all talk through the cold open together. We all get to pitch jokes on it. And then you take everything, all the notes from since the beginning of the episode, you have all of those jokes, and you as the writer get to sort of pick which jokes you think are the best and put them in your outline paragraph. And then we just go around the room. So the next person does the first scene, the next person does the second scene until we've assigned out the whole outline. Then we put it up on the board and we read through the outline together. You get another chance to even pitch more jokes on that. You get to do your notes of like, I don't think that works, blah, blah, all sort of stuff. Then we send that outline to the studio on the network and we get notes from them. We bring that back, and then that.
Can I ask real quick, what's that turnaround time with the notes?
So fast. They're really good. Our studio network which is what helps us stay so on schedule, because there are some shows that like, if they don't fucking give a shit about the show, if the showrunner is constantly being like, we're going to turn this outline in, and then they don't turn the outline in, they just sort of are like, what the fuck ever. Also, there are no comedies on the air. I don't know if you know this. ABC has one comedy, so they have nothing else to do. So they are turning us, like, we'll have a notes call for it the day after we turn it in.
Awesome.
And then if you're the person who's assigned to write the episode, are another great thing. These are all things when you all are in your rooms, you're running your own shows. This is the way to keep your writers happy. Is our writer's PA takes the outline and puts it into final draft for us. So basically all the pieces that we already have, they're already formatted, and you are basically like filling it in, doing all the connective tissue. But you don't have to do like the writing. Literally, it just saves you so much time not having to write like interior, Jacob's class.
Wow.
All that sort of stuff, all that, and the action lines are done. And you can add to it, obviously, but it's just like, the skeleton of it is like in final draft for you already. And so then you as the writer can fucking kick out those jokes you don't like. You can replace them with your own. You will have to hear about it from other writers sometimes, but you really get to make the script like feel like yours, while also still having a piece of like every writer in it. So it makes all of the scripts like have a good balance of like, this script feels like specifically like mine, and also all the writers feeling like I have something in this script. And so we all have this like collective ownership over it that feels really good.
Oh my gosh, so good. Thank you. That felt like an awesome masterclass of what to expect. So that was fantastic. Thank you, Brittany. I have to also say I got to meet Quinta on the line, and I geeked out a little bit. And I think, is this Kate? I know that's Lisa Ann. Is that what's
that's
one
Kate.
of the other?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, I met one of the other
Kate
writers.
Miss Schwartz.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. She was in it too. Have you been in it, by the way?
No.
Okay.
She was in the pilot. They won't let any of the writers be in it anymore.
Oh shoot. Okay. All right. Well, let's open it up, everybody. We have 20 minutes left before Brittany has to get back to set and start producing and doing more things. So if you have questions, you can put your hand up, unmute. You can put stuff in the chat. I know Belhika was asking about, do you still do indie stuff? Do you have time for it? Writing for other people? Anything you want to say about how you continue to express yourself as an artist?
So I haven't made anything independently recently, but what I've been trying to do is like help other people do it. So I have a friend who did like this horror short recently. And I also like have friends that make music. So I'm like helping produce my friend's album. Like I'm basically like trying to help people just do what I did in whatever way possible. I have a friend who's doing an indie feature and I help like with that. So really just trying to like sort of spread my knowledge around to people that I've come up with who haven't had the same breaks that I've been able to have, to sort of make it so that all the homies are on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then, my own stuff I have been trying to just sort of go through the traditional way. I don't know that that'll be how I continue to do it. I think if I have like a couple of ideas that I'm working with indie producers on, so it won't be like $5,000, but still trying to figure out how to just keep proving that like you can do it. Also to the studios that are making this shit, it's also just like, stop making these fucking $300 million movies and make $10 million movies. I mean, that's what Cord was saying when he won his
Yeah.
award. Like, it's sort of the thing that, and I think a lot of people from comedy have that perspective of just like, we know what it takes to connect with people, and like, it isn't money. Like, it isn't the glossiest thing. Just like, let people do their thing, and you make
Mhm.
10 movies, it's more than likely that one of them is going to come out and really pop, but just the investments aren't going to the right places. So I'm trying to sort of stick to that ethos of like showing what's possible on a smaller scale rather than being like, and please pick me to write the next Marvel movie, you know?
Mhm. It's good. Okay, cool. I'm gonna bring Gwen, who's writing and directing her first short film. Gwen, you got it. What's up? Your question, unmute and bring it on.
Hi, Brittany. Good morning.
Morning.
I'm in a situation where I have a feature script that two different people have told me, I think this might be a TV show rather than a feature. And well, I mean, it's not like they say it couldn't be a feature, but
Right.
they say, have you thought about this being a TV show? And my first reaction is like, oh my God, because I've never written for TV. I don't really know that format, right? And so my question is, if you were having that experience, well, you have a totally different skill set than I do, but would you try to get it in front of TV people to say, is that true? Do you see that also? Would you try to break it apart into episodes? So how would you handle that?
I mean, I've gotten that. That doesn't stop, I think, no matter what. I think people just like want to make what they want to make. And that is like across the board. If people are saying no, it does not necessarily mean like that your idea is bad or that it's not a feature or it's not a TV show. People just have what they want to make in their heads, and they will take whatever they're being brought and try to squeeze it into these tubes, whether or not it fits. So my advice is always just like see it through in the way that you want to do it till the very end. Because I've had things where people were like, "Hey, I think that's a TV show," and I was like, "It's not though, because here it is as a movie that I did," and that has worked for me, because I think you just have to keep going. Like, you just have to keep pitching it the way that you want to pitch it, and then like if you get to the very end of the road and you don't have any bites, then circle back. But like, it's so annoying going through this process. If it's not the thing that you actually want to be doing, you're going to stop caring about it because everyone's going to drive you fucking nuts. And so you want to give yourself as much cushion as possible to continue caring about these projects that people are going to try to destroy. And that, I think, think that means you have to try to do it the way that you want to do it. And also, if the people are saying that, I'm guessing that they do film and TV. Put them on the spot. Say, okay, so if this is a TV show, are you ready to buy it? Are you going to buy this in the room right now? Like, put the pressure on them. If you're telling me that this is what that looks like, you clearly have some vision in your head that you're ready to develop with me. So like, where's the money then? Like, why am I going to go do all this work for free? Always try to prevent yourself from having to do work for free as much as possible, because it also means that like you are serious about the project. Because so many people, I think, are just like in it to be like, I'm going to make this quick buck. I'm going to make this quick buck. When people just like know that you're serious about this project, you've thought about it a lot, because you aren't just jumping to what might be some money.
Okay, that's super helpful. Thanks. And then super quick, specific question. You had a dog in your film, and did you use a friend's dog? Did you get your friend to help you with the dog?
With the house.
Dog came with the house.
Yeah. Nothing, that dog is going to be the movie, whether we want it or not.
Awesome.
It did fit very nice for you, I would say. I was like, wow, that dog seemed very trained. Thank you so much, Gwen. All right, Victoria, you are up. Victoria won our raffle, so thanks for being here. You won our raffle to get 2 months
thank you so much.
in this mastermind.
Yes, thank you so much. Hello. Oh my gosh, so nice to hear just the wisdom that is coming at us, especially about writing. That's something that I definitely hoping to break into, comedy writing specifically. And I'm just wondering, from your perspective, where nowadays are you getting, the inspirations coming at you? Where are you continuing to build that craft? Obviously in the writer's room as well, but where do you find that there's resources that help you additionally? Where would you kind of maybe direct someone towards to kind of help them build that craft maybe alone before they get into that community, writer's room? Because I would love to be in the writer's room, but unfortunately where I am right now, I don't have that. But I would like to build those skills up and be able to do those quick pitches and come prepared so that when I hopefully am in that, I can, like you said, fit in really nicely, work with everybody, and just like create that community.
Yeah, so I think a couple things, like I wrote spec scripts of other shows. I wrote a couple of those. It's sort of now the only people that really pay attention to them are the programs, but it used to be that you could send like spec scripts to people and that could be a sample. But it sucks now because there's literally 400 shows, so it's just like the chances that someone has seen the show that you're specking are just really low. But it's still, to me, a really good exercise, because you're having to match the tone of someone else. I think that right now a lot of people are good at writing in their own voice and figuring out what their voice are. I feel like, honestly, like things like Twitter and TikTok and even like your own Instagram, like you're constantly trying to working in your own voice and writing your own voice, but matching someone else's is sort of a thing that hasn't been given that same amount of love. And what else did I want to say about this? Oh, the books. So like I feel like there are a billion books about these sorts of things. The one I read was Story, but the one that I did, because I never took any classes or anything, I like taught myself, I think the same way that you're saying you're doing right now, is I watched a lot of shows and then deconstructed them. So like Happy Endings was a mid-season replacement when I was first decided I wanted to become a writer. And I literally just would watch the episodes, write down what the A story is, what the B story is, what the C runner is, write down, do like a reverse outline, basically, and then look at it and go like, oh, okay, where are they following typical sitcom structure, and where are they breaking it, and why are they breaking it? Because we also break structure on Abbott all the time, and we have our reasons, but we know because we're in the room all talking about it. I think it's works a different part of your brain to see it on paper and see, oh, okay, they actually started the second act with the B story. Why did they do that? And trying to put yourself in those shoes, because that's also something that's like super valuable in a room, is like problem solving. There's so much problem solving all the time of like, the timing of this doesn't work out. The act break, the big act break moment is in the middle of this scene. Do we do it there and then come back to that scene on the second half? Or do we figure out how to build this story so that the act break moment lands at a different point? And those are all things that I think like you can see in a way that they don't show you that in a book, really, because the book is showing you the perfect way to do it. But what you're watching on TV quite often is not the perfect version.
Thank you so much, Victoria. I will also highlight Happy Endings. I love that show as well. I got to sit ride up in the elevator with the co-creator or the creator and showrunner, David Cassidy, a few weeks ago, because I was working on the Mr. Throwback show. And we actually have his co-creator, Matthew, of Mr. Throwback, coming here in a few weeks. So I love the 6 degrees of separation. Okay, cool. I'm gonna bring
pilot of that yesterday.
Did you? Oh my gosh, so good. Yeah, and that recommendation, Belhika, you're next, of watching shows that you love and dissecting them, and even trying to like write. If you're not familiar with that term, a spec script is writing a script either that you are writing on your own original idea, but it's also used for writing like a show, an episode of Abbott Elementary. Like you write an episode with the characters in the voice of the show, because sometimes people want to see that. People who are hiring, that was a big thing like years ago. I've heard it is beginning to come back a little bit. So, but it's also just good practice in general. So awesome. Belhika, who is an actor and a producer and doing a web series here in the Bay Area. What you got, Belhika?
I Hi, I'm Belgica. I have a question about like the creativity in writing. I've gotten really interested in learning like all different kinds of positions in film and TV, not because I'm interested in like writing or whatever, but the more I learn about those things, the more I learn about acting and that it's so similar. All the things you're saying about writers, like we also have to do like so many things like that. Like I basically dissect shows that I want to be on and be like, okay, how can my acting when I get to audition for them reflect their tone and all of that? But my question is about Abbott has so many revolving characters. What's like the red tape or how much creative freedom do you guys have when you bring in a new character, like adding Ashley, the aide? Like what's like, do you guys have to fight in order to like bring something like that, or how does that happen in a show like Abbott?
Mhm. So a character like Ashley, actually, that was just Quinta being like, I want to add an aide, and
Uh,
I know who I want it to be. And that's like not how our process like works at all. Like it really, last season was a little different because I think the studio network got so excited about having a hit that it became a lot of like, let's get people that, are sort of well known on here. And we as
Bradley Cooper.
yeah, and we as the writers, we were like, yeah, we don't really like that. Like, it's
Yeah.
way more fun, I think, to have just people you don't know or people that you do know and think would be good, but like you still have to find a role that they work for and just like really get to see auditions and really get to be like, holy shit, like that person brought something that we didn't expect. They put a spin on it or they nailed exactly what it is. I mean, like Tariq, like
Oh,
we were
so
seeing extremely traditional like actors come in for that, and then you saw Zach Fox do it, and you're like, well, fucking clearly it's him.
yeah.
We have a character from last season, like his character name was HR guy because he literally had one line, and it was in a it was three scenes. All of them were like one line character, and this dude said his one line in a way that we were just like, what the fuck? That we brought him back, and that's like how a lot of recurring characters happen on Abbott. It's just like somebody does something that makes all of us laugh, and we go like, we want to see that person again. We'll like change a little bit. We'll take someone and go like, oh, it's like it's reasonable that this person, like one of the parents, one time again, he had one line where he's talking about Jasmine Sullivan, and he just delivered it in such a way that we were like, okay, when we bring this community group back, let's put him in that community group just because we want to find a way to see him again. So a
Yeah.
lot of it is just we're writing characters just as they occur organically.
Yeah.
And we're bringing back the people that like in the audition on the day are just like really fucking nailing it and really funny.
Yeah. I love that. I love to hear that because that means you guys get a lot of creative freedom, which is cool. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you, Belgica. All right, let's go to our last question from Jennifer Marie, director, actor, funny person. Where are you? Let's go.
Hi, y'all, everybody. Hi, Brittany. Thank you so much for doing this. It's so funny y'all brought up Bradley Cooper really quick. This is so crazy. I was actually Barbara's picture, like the double for her picture the day Bradley was there. So I was in the room
That was
doing
you?
I did the rehearsal with Bradley Cooper. Girl, he made eye contact with me and everything. And you know what, y'all? I love Bradley, but I love him even more because everybody there was freaking out because I looked too much like Barbara because our skin tones are very similar. They put the wig on me. I had the outfit on. It is so crazy. I had the most fun because everybody, Quinta, they kept coming up like, this is freaking me out. You really look a lot like Barbara. Everybody said it like at least 6 times that day. But Bradley came up and shook my hand and said, thank you. It was so fun. Anyways, that's not my question. Thank you for all the work that you're doing. This is my quick question. I do stand up too. So I'm just trying to hear, what did you do? How do you apply your stand up writing to your script writing, or I should say like TV writing? Is there anything that you use to like connect the two things, or anything that you can connect with writing with that?
Yeah, my stand up was very joke dependent. Like I was not someone who's like, hey, you're from Ohio. How are you doing as a couple? Like I wasn't doing crowd work. I really was using it as an opportunity to practice my joke writing and practice tightening things up, figuring out the way to deliver things. And that to me felt very like hand in hand with writing. It just was like working the muscle of writing jokes over and over and over again. And it also, like, I act as well. So it was like sort of doing a character, really. Like, I feel like my stand-up persona was like talking about my real life experiences, but the way that I was doing it wasn't like I'm really myself on the stage. I'm like trying to come off a certain way. And also just like the act of going to shows and meeting people, like so much of the community and friends, which are super important. This industry runs on friendship. Like, it is every job that I've ever had has come from a friend, via a friend, via a friend of a friend. My agents and managers have not gotten me a single job. It is a community driven thing. It is 100% about who you know. And I think people take that to mean that that means you have to know the highest person up, when it's not. It's about knowing the people that are trying to get the same jobs that you are. And once they are in the position to make recommendations, having you be one of the first people that comes to mind. And a lot of that is about simply being around. Like, literally, it's just like someone saw me yesterday and someone mentioned a job the next day. And so they thought of me because they literally just saw me. Like, it's not even necessarily like, oh, you were the most talented person I've ever met. And so I thought of you for years and years and years. It's like, no, I saw you at the coffee shop that's around in our neighborhood. I saw you at the comedy meetup and I was thinking of you. So I think it's a lot of that is also like the big value of stand up, is just like reminding people that you exist.
Yes, such good advice. Relationship. And get that ally feature film made, Jennifer Marie. Jennifer was one of our selected filmmakers this year with her short. So let's get it. Let's get it. All right, y'all. This is our time to say goodbye to Brittani. Brittani, this was so good. Thank you so much for your time. You are invited to the film festival July 10th through the 13th. We would love to have you be a part. We'll stay connected. Everybody, I want to do a quick photo with our last 20 seconds. So you're gonna look into the camera, we're gonna smile, we'll be able to post this like, yay, go Abbott Elementary. Let me get rid of myself, let me get rid of everybody, and we can, here we go. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1. Yeah, awesome. Okay, thanks Brittani. Go back to production. Please send our love to Abbott, Quinta, all the people. We love you and the show. And thanks for your time.
Thank you for having me.
You got it. Take care. Bye. Everybody else, if you want to stay on for a second, I'll let you know. Was that great? Oh my gosh, so good. I'll let you know next week we have a short filmmaker, Denise Myers, who did a film called oh gosh, I'm blanking. Olga, remind me. Into the Dark? Dark of the Night. It is a short film that she did with Sam Rockwell, directed by Robin Wright. Hello, big name. So a writer who gets the script of her dreams into these big major players. So we will send out to all of you members the short film to watch during the week, and then we'll talk to her about it. So it's about making a short film. It's about pitching yourself and getting yourself into rooms. The following Monday, we were going to do hot seats and goal reports, but I just secured Matthew Libman, who was the co-creator, writer, producer of Mr. Throwback, which is on Peacock. Is anybody watching that? It's the Steph Curry show that was based on, a version of Steph Curry's friendship with a middle school friend. So Matthew Libman will email us out. If you're here just for the first time and you're interested to join more, it's $99 a month. And the goal is to do for more professional development, more connection and collaborations. And you get 20% off of all of our classes. We have an Acting Academy class starting on August 21st. You get free mixers. We're having one at the end of September, date TBA at Coffee Bar. And then you get 50% off of our Halloween party, which is Saturday, October 26th, half off tickets at the film festival. So membership is really worth it. And we're going to keep growing and creating more opportunities. Okay, that's it, everybody. Thanks so much. Appreciate you. Take care. Have a good week. Keep creating. Keep going, keep making stuff, get those features done for 5,000, 5 days. All right, bye.